can anybody tell me what STEM is? What does it stand for? Anybody know?
Science.
Science, good. Anyone know what the T stands for? You know?
Teaching.
It's like teaching. Anyone else?
Torah. Torah.
Torah. Stands for science, technology, and what does the E stand for? Anyone know? Anyone else?
Education.
Education. And anyone else?
Music.
It stands for science, technology, engineering, and...
Mathematics.
So, why are people teaching in this school? Let's give a reason. Our STEM products for toys. Is that why we're doing all this good stuff here? You think it's for toys? What would give some of the applications?
Yeah, toys are definitely good.
Toys are great. But what would be another reason why we need STEM products?
To teach us about the world.
Teach us about the world. Well, give me some examples of what you're seeing STEM out there for. What are we doing with STEM?
Food.
Food, maybe?
You could build a robot that teaches people.
Build a robot. Let me give you some examples. Anybody think of 3D printing and medicine? People with prosthetics arms, who have lost arms or need arms, they're doing that. Plastic surgeons, they're using that to fill in the face. So I have a friend, Dr. Vegetarian, at Children's Montefiore Hospital, and they had two conjoined twins by their brains, by their heads. So that's not a surgery you can do twice. That surgery has to be 100% successful, life-threatening one time. So what they did is they took the twins and they scanned their brains and heads, and then they made 3D prints, which is a special company that does skeleton brains, and then the surgeons practiced over and over and over on the surgical 3D prints, which were exact replica of the conjoined twins. So that would be medicine, prosthetic arms, parts in cars, fun, toys. But the reason why Americans are teaching their children STEM is most teenagers and above, they're not makers, they're users. They use Facebook, they use WhatsApp, but they haven't made any of them. So what we're trying to do is, we need Americans to start creating things, to start doing things. So STEM is engineering, and that's why we're putting it in the school. So let me give you some examples. So this machine here, it's a 3D pancake pot. It's more for fun, but what it does is it uses the 3D technology. You put in the pancake batter, it heats up this griddle, and it gets hot enough, and then you put the design in, and this goes back and forth, and it makes a 3D edible pancake. This is Benjamin Jachter, soon to be a graduate of TABC. So Benjamin, this is your regular microscope, right? You go to the store, you just buy it, it's like any other microscope, right?
And a little bit more.
Tell us what the difference is.
So, like a lot of times when you're looking at a microscope, if you have glasses like me, or if you can't exactly get the right angles, or it makes it very annoying. You can't like really look through the lenses correctly. So, like you go through it and you're like, I can't really see it. There's a lot of black, and it's hard to also look down at the actual platform while you're looking at the image. So what this does is it has a camera which takes the perfect lens picture of it in real time as you move stuff around. So that way you can adjust your platform, look at your slide at the same time without having any problem. So you can adjust all you want and mess with your slide as needed to find what you want without having to change your position and make it more complicated than it has to be. Also, you can then record it and then send it to a computer or otherwise using this videoing technology.
This is Ori Siegel. He's also soon to be a graduate of TABC. So this is a drone kit that we got us on. We ordered it all on Amazon, and Ori's going to tell us a little bit about the drone.
So at first it wasn't working so well. We had to restart it, put it back, and then when we finally got it to work, we were able to get it lifted in the air. We found out that it could hover in the air for a little bit. We could move it in all different directions, up, down, left, right, and yeah. It was,
so Ori, what would be some uses besides just a model toy that flies? What would be some good uses that we would need a drone?
So there's many uses. One is they're used for military in multiple ways, for spying, for weaponry, for a lot of things. It can be used for delivery, for like Amazon is now starting to use drones to deliver packages. It can be used for getting certain camera angles, making certain types of films. It can be, and then it can also be used for fun, for that kind of stuff. But really, its main purpose is those other reasons.
We have Shai Goodfriend, soon to be a graduate of TABC, and here we have a bunch of kits. It looks like a bunch of Lego pieces, and this is some green energy and how to do some assembly, and Shai's going to tell us a little bit more of what you're just looking at.
So these are basically kits where you take apart everyday appliances and break it down to really basics of like switches, resistors, batteries, and such. And it teaches you about these different appliances and how you might be able to build it yourself and interact with it. You can make a voice recorder, you learn how it works, and then you record yourself and play it back. You can also use different power sources, not just everyday batteries, but also how to use solar power instead, or to even like just hand crank it and be able to power all of your devices.
Could you show us one more time, Mr. Shai, what this does?
So I'm cranking it right now, and you see the voltmeter.
But there's no batteries, so how does it work?
Well, what you're doing is you're creating an electric current by moving around two magnets, and the current runs through the wires and powers it. You see over there the voltmeter is measuring the voltage. As I turn it, it increases, and it turns the fan.
So all these kits is this just one for all? Are you building one big thing, or could you build different projects with this kit?
Build as many as you'd like. You can mix and match even. They're really easy to assemble. They just snap in, snap out. Reconfigured it here. You've got two projects next to each other. Over there you have one big one. You can even take that and put it over there. Really learn how to grapple with different situations, different problem-solving cases.
So I'm here with David Storfer. David Storfer is the Assistant IT Director at Ben Prat Yosef. Works with Moshe Azazelahoff, who's protege of Guard Consulting Group, the IT Director at BPY, and has become a very quick 3D printer expert. So I'm looking around here, David, and I see some of the things that you printed. So I noticed this looks like a dreidel, right? So just tell us the process, where you got the design, and how all this good stuff works. Like, for example, what is this yarn?
So first, we talk about the raw material. This is a yarn of plastic PLA. It is the raw material that all 3D printers use. There are other types of material. With this one, it gets fed through this tube into the extruder. The extruder head becomes extremely hot, melting the PLA and simultaneously printing it in the dimensions of the design. There are design softwares online, like Tinkercad, where you have to design what you want it to build, how you want it to look, and even the details, like this Jewish star, where the head of this fits into, as well as those Hebrew letters that you see on the outside of the design.
Because I'm not going to let this go, right? So I see the ones that printed, but something hasn't printed, and you left that here. So why would you show us the one that didn't print?
So it's just so you know that this stuff is fairly complex. It looks simple, we make it look easy, but sometimes if the temperature's not right or if it wasn't sticking to the build plate the right way, you can end up with something where mid-print, this thing got shifted over and then started printing the wrong way. So it takes a person with skill to understand how it's supposed to be sitting on the build plate, how it's supposed to be leveled, and the calibration of the machine itself, as well as if the design's not floating in the air, if it needs support, so that parts of it don't fall off the edge and don't print the right way.
David, I feel like I'm looking at a bunch of toys. I think what the problem is some of the educators, especially science teachers, mathematics, Judaic studies, maybe they've seen this just a bunch of cool, kitschy toys. So you work at Ben Prat Yosef, you work in the school systems. What ideas do you think could be applied to Judaic studies, for example? If I was a Chumash teacher, what could I do with the 3D printer? Give me some example that just comes to your mind.
So there are a lot of dimensions of holy objects that we hear about in the Torah portion. You can print out a 3D Beis HaMikdash or different vessels from the Beis HaMikdash. You can hand them out to the kids and say, look, this is what the menorah looked like. This is what the Beis HaMikdash looked like. This is what the Choshen Mishpat, Aaron's breastplate, would have looked like. And it would look the same way it's described in the Mefarshim, inside the sources that we have. As well as for the holidays, you can do dreidels, you can do shofros, you can also do kos Eliyahu. We had a third grade class, 53 kids, design their own Eliyahu's cup, and they had it on their Seder tables the entire time. 7 millimeters tall, and it had his name on it.
Fantastic. David, I want to thank you for your time today.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it. We're here with Mendy Gar, I know him quite well, also a TABC grad, and a big Lego fan, hobbyist. But Mendy, I'm looking at a bunch of Lego pieces like you just go to Toys R Us and buy all this. What's the difference between Lego that you just get from your grandmother and what are you doing here? What robotics do I see? I don't see any robotics personally, but I noticed it took you a long time to just build one project. So tell us what the difference is between regular Lego and how you make all this good stuff work.
Okay, well, it is actually pretty similar to Lego because you actually can go get this at a normal toy store, as opposed to a 3-pin or a drone. You actually have to get it like special for Amazon and stuff. But the difference between this and normal Lego is that normal Lego, you know, like it looks like this, right? So this, you know, it's pretty cool, it moves, but it doesn't really teach anybody anything because, you know, you could be 4 years old and build this if you really wanted to. This, it's called Lego Mindstorms, and it really takes some thought process. This was not as easy to build as
Could
it
you
looked.
give us a little example? How, I know you have your phone there. What is the phone?
Okay, so this actually comes with the remote control, which you could use. But if you get the Lego Mindstorms app, you could move it with this, with your phone, and it goes back. Moves in both directions, and it does the same thing. But if you really wanted to, you could also just use the remote.
Now, did you get it fully configured, or did you have to put everything together?
Okay, so it actually, the pieces themselves do not come together, obviously, like on any other Lego. However, the easiest thing about this is that it is somewhat made for children. So when you open it in the box, getting it like out of the instructions, it's pretty easy to figure out just to make it move. Didn't take that much, like it's just 4 buttons, so it can't be that complicated. But it could teach kids, you know, the basic robotics and...
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
So do you think you start with Legos at 5 years old, graduate to Lego Mindstorm, and then actually learn robotics? I would consider this part of STEM.
absolutely.
Great, I just wanted to see. So I see you have a phone, you put it together, you're making go backwards and forwards, and I saw you
Yeah.
failed before, you guys were trying it, and that's battery operated.
Yes.
You need a regular battery.
You know, the regular batteries, not even magic.
Thank you, Mandy, great job.
Also, like, you know, if a kid understands like that this is really just spinning, they could build anything else they want. You could build a hand that waves. You could build like a normal fan that just, you know, walks over to someone and fans them, and it's funny. But like, it's the most simple, most easily accessible way of teaching it.
And it's also Lego.
Robotics. And in the end of the day, it's
It's
still Lego. It's pretty fun. I mean, it took a while to figure out, but it was still really fun.
Excellent, thank you. I want to thank Rabbi Jane Weinbach for having us here today, Garb Consulting Group STEM, and Yeshiva 21st Century. Please like our Facebook group and check out our new videos, more to come.